Welcome to the New Song Cafe at worshiptogether.com. Today we're here with John Mark McMillan, and he'll be singing his song, Future Past. We hope you enjoy this New Song Cafe. John Mark, great to see you, man.
Yeah, man, it's good to be here.
Thanks for bringing the guys along with you. This is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you guys are going to play through a song called Future Past. I love this song, and really cool video of you guys singing it.
Yep.
And talk about the song. And I always love your songs because there's always like new kind of language and new kind of ways to describe spiritually kind of what's going on in a service or in a worship service or to describe God. And I just love some of the imagery. So talk about this song and kind of the inspiration behind it and the ideas behind the song.
Yeah, for sure. I think I see the song in sort of two ways. The first is a personal one. You know, I was on an airplane. I think we were flying into Chicago, and I was reading a book. I can't remember what I was reading, but there's the quote, from Revelation where Jesus says, "I'm the Alpha, Omega, I'm the beginning and the end." And when I read that, though, I stopped. For some reason, I didn't just think about He's the beginning and the end. I read it as You're my beginning and my end, because both of those things are true. One of those things makes a lot more sense to me. So it's not just that Jesus is the beginning and the end of all, but it's like, He's the beginning and the end of me. He's not just my future, He's also my past. He came before me and came after me, and when I'm gone, He'll still be, But I was really dealing with some identity issues, who I was, with my life changing, having kids, growing up, learning to be comfortable with who I was, and to be honest, I'd really struggled with as an artist, because I see myself as an artist, as a songwriter. That's who I think of myself as. And, I'd had a difficult time writing songs I really believed in. I didn't like what I was doing, and I was battling with this idea of, I love Jesus, I love people, I love my church, but I don't necessarily love all the things that go along with that. And I'd had a hard time identifying myself with a person who writes just Christian songs. I know that conversation gets pretty old and boring, but at a point, I was sitting there and I was thinking, no matter who I am, no matter what industry I'm in, no matter what I do for a job or ministry, Jesus sort of marks me and stains my life. And there's no getting away from that. I thought, I don't really want to get away from that, So it's sort of like whatever decision I make, no matter what I decide to do, Jesus is going to stain my life. Like, You are my future and my past. I can't get away from my past, and I can't get away from my future, and Jesus is it. Whatever that means for the decisions I make. And so that was sort of a personal kind of thing. But the song itself talks of, I think a lot about Colossians, where it talks about how, everything was created by Him, through Him, for Him, the image of the invisible God, and how Jesus is this person who knits the entire universe together, and so here's this part of Jesus, but along with that side of Jesus, there's the Jesus who also extends His hand to me in friendship and calls me and requests that I would be friends with that kind of person, that kind of being. And I think that's really significant. He's not also this thing that knits the entire universe together. He's also a person who wants to have a simple relationship and friendship with me, and so I thought that was a really cool, I don't know what you call it, contrast.
Yeah, for sure. And I see that a lot in your music where, people tend to want to put spiritual things in a box and the rest of our lives in a box. And that's the one thing I love about your music. We were even talking about that before, of just, at a show or whatever, whether it's a song and everybody's singing along or whether people are listening, it's all worship.
Yeah, totally.
And I kind of see that in a lot of your music where it's, kind of breaking down those walls between the two, and that this is who I am as an artist, and to me, this is my expression back to God, which is, I think artists tend to want to live in that space, and then it's a challenge sometimes because listeners want to put things into categories and define things differently.
Yeah. Well, Jesus definitely found significance in common things, and found significance in common people, and He lived and walked amongst the common people, And so dividing things up, it's not even about the terminology, but making something sacred, saying this is sacred, it sort of takes away from the fact that Jesus sort of, the Bible says the whole earth is full of the glory. So why are we trying to assign these certain little things as being sacred when the truth is, if Jesus is who he says he is, and he's in me, and he's in all, and he's created everything, then in one sense, his presence and his intentions for the world make everything sacred. It doesn't mean that good things happen all the time, but I think that Jesus wants to be part of the common world as much as the sacred world. I don't think there's a division between those two. So it's a much greater conversation than one of music, but I think even this song speaks to that. It's sort of, he is the greatest. If you were going to use words like sacred, there's nothing more holy or sacred than Jesus, right? But then there's nothing more common or weird or gross than the people who live on earth who do all this weird stuff. But he wants to have fellowship with those people, and so to create a divide between those two is very anti-Jesus, Sure. And so I'd like to think this song speaks to that system of value.
Yeah. Well, you guys play it for
us. Sure.
I'd love to hear it.
You hold the reins on the sun and the moon, like horses driven by kings. You cover the mountains, the valleys below with the breath of your mighty wing. All treasures of wisdom and things to be known are hidden inside your hand. And in this fortunate turn of events, you asked me to be your friend. You asked me to be your friend. And you are my first, you are my last, you are my future and my past. Yeah, you are my first, you are my last, you are my future.
Wow, I love that. It sounds so great with the cello
Thanks,
in there
man.
and everything. It's really cool. And you're playing in the key of C.
Yes.
And actually there's there's a lot of chords moving around this song, but mostly kind of major chords.
Yes.
So kind of walk us through what you're playing.
So what I'm playing is in C, on the verse, so sort of to an F.
Yeah.
And then kind of I don't know what you call this, but it's basically like, imagine I have the A minor.
Kind of a D minor.
Yeah. Mainly so I can do this walk up here. Sort of back to the F. And I like to let the E ring out throughout. And so the verse is based around those chords right there. So it's the hold the reins on the sun and the moon, like horses driven by kings. Then I go to sort of the channel or the pre-chorus. I hang on the F. All treasures of wisdom, and back to the C, things to be known. And then that walk up again, are hidden inside your hands. And then repeat it, in this fortunate turn of events, you asked me to be your friend. And just repeat that walk up again. You asked me to be your friend. Then the chorus, it took me a minute to work it out because I wrote it on the banjo and we recorded it on the piano, and now I have to interpret it on the guitar, So it's in C as well, and the idea is the C, you want to keep on the C for the first two chords. So it goes C to the F, but you keep the C in the root.
Yeah.
So, and you, then to the F, but you keep the C in the, so you kind of have that drone, then to the, it's kind of a G over C.
Yeah.
And then we do the good old walk up. So really the chorus is all about ways to go back and forth between C and F without ever doing it the exact same.
Absolutely. Which is the tricky thing.
It is. But it's actually not very hard. That's just basic cowboy chords with hammer-ons. And
Yeah.
I'll play that one more time for the chorus. Then good old walk up. Except this time I land on the C. So, yeah.
Wow.
It's
Guys,
not really hard. It sounds hard, but it's not.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming
Yeah,
by and
thank
sharing the
you.
song with us.
Oh,
Love
man,
it.
that was great.